Good morning. It's April 21st and very chilly out here. I think it's probably about 31. But I wanted to pop out. The sun's coming up already. I was going to come out earlier, but it was just too chilly for me yet. Anyway, since my last video, a lot of things have leafed out. A lot of things are flowering as far as trees go. We've got the peach tree in bloom. Sorry, the sun is coming up over the rooftops and kind of getting on everything anyway. And the little plum here is in bloom. The ribes are really in bloom. They're so pretty. Lots of things. I don't know if we're going to have filberts this year. I said that last year, but this year, the catkins, always come out really super early. They're here all through the winter. But we had kind of a warm up before we had that snow, and I think a lot of them went through their phase of pollinating and everything and their history, and now the little flowers are just starting to come out. So I don't know that we're going to have any filberts. I think they might be too out of sync with each other this year. But anyway, things are looking pretty good. The broccoli, we've already harvested our broccoli once. This is the next cute little florets that are coming up next on this, and I can't even believe this thing lived through the winter. It was like half broken over the side of this barrel under all that snow, and yet here it is. Bionic broccoli, but I don't have a lot of the yard stuff out yet because it's still continuing to freeze. And so I try not to put too much of that out early. So we don't have stuff out on the deck yet, and there's a lot of concrete lawn ornaments that aren't out yet either. I'm laying some stones. I've really been having a tough time with that. There's a path that goes through my circle, a complete path, so it's like the irony of a slash through my circle is like not lost on me. But it's getting so worn in here now, I don't think anything's going to come back. So and I don't just want exposed earth here. So I've got some paver stones that I'm putting through here, and I don't want them to actually break the circle, but this way there's a place to walk through here, and hopefully things can grow around them. I need to get a couple more to complete this, and I don't know that I'm going to put any here. I may just leave the wood chips down on this and let stuff fill in as it wants. I've kind of done that over here. In an earlier video, I think I talked about not knowing what to do with this path back here because it was so full of crocus and everything encroaches into it. I didn't know whether I'd just remove some of the stones and let that be all bed or what I would do, but I did pull the lawn back here and mulch some stuff down on there to let this extend. I like the shape of my filbert tree, and I really don't want traffic through here, and I really don't want to prune my filbert tree. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. We keep losing entrances to the yard and paths, but anyway, that's kind of an ongoing thing right now, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But gosh, now that sun isn't really helping. But there's a lot of bulbs that are blooming. The crocus, of course, are done now, and the snowdrops. The really sad thing is that we had that absolute flurry of bees early when the snowdrops and the crocus were really in bloom. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what happened to them, but we have had, I think, a total of 3 bees since then. We have been counting anything that we've seen. We all yell at each other through the yards, "Hey, bee, bee, honey bee, honey bee." But I don't know what's happened to them, and there have been no bumblebees. So I may have a foodless food forest this year. I don't know. We hand pollinated the peach trees here, and Sandra pollinated hers in the front Tom hand pollinated the apricot and the little plum, but we're gonna have to do that with the raspberries and the strawberries and any of the big trees. They're on their own. I don't, with the pear tree, you have to have another pear tree that the pollinators have access to, and that happens to be across the street in that direction at my neighbor Angie's house. So we can't really do anything about that. I'm hoping that accidental pollinators like birds and flies and wasps are dinking around enough that we're going to get some fruit, but it's really hard to say at this point. I don't know. Are they delayed for some reason? They shouldn't be. When we have really nice warm weather, it's like, why aren't they here? Why aren't we seeing them? They are usually loaded in everything by now. We see them pollinating everything, and they're not here. So I don't know what to think. Now, I have a concern about a tree. This is my Italian prune tree, or plum tree, and it is just now budding out. It should be at the stage that the other plum tree is at, and it is not. So I've been coming over and talking to him and asking him to please please hang in there, please come out. We love him and need him to do his thing, so hopefully he'll be all right. After the snow, I was very surprised to see that my butterfly bush was totally fine. I expected a lot of breakage from how weighted it was. Even when I could get over and get the snow out of it a couple of times, it still was so weighted with snow. But it looks like it's gonna be okay. There's a lot of life that I'm seeing down low. Still needs to kind of be pruned up there, but I couldn't reach that last year, so that didn't happen. There is a ton of honesty plants that are coming on that'll be blooming soon. Some are starting to bloom. They kind of start blooming when they're little and then come up. The pulmonaria, right now because of the frost, it's kind of curled over. It'll stand back up and it'll be fine. And I did want to show this little project. The furnace air conditioner unit has not worked for a long time. So Tom's in the process of dismantling that. And this is the ductwork that goes into the house. This was a cover that he put over it to kind of protect it from getting water in it. There's a really rugged, like, cement slab thing down there. I think what I'm going to do, spaced out from the house, I'm going to put a compost bin here, not with kitchen compost, but leaves and other kind of debris stuff like that I can use as a cold frame or a hot frame later. And then here, where all the workings of the unit were, this is going to be a raised bed, and my plan is to do potatoes here. But we can't finish this part of the project yet. Tom's brother next month will be down to remove, he works in heating and cooling. He's bringing what he needs to bring to remove the rest of the Freon that could be in there. We know there's some in there. He's going to remove the rest of the Freon, and then there's a compressor inside. And when we move that, we have to be real careful so we don't get drip any oil, spill any oil out of it or anything. But the big thing is the Freon. We need that removed professionally, and he's a professional, so he's going to do that for us. And then we can get the rest of that out of there, and I can really start working on that project. The other exciting news is more heating stuff, old heating stuff that we'll save for the metal in case we need anything to do with that. We'll break it down and save the metal. But the other thing is we got a sliding glass door. Tom, for years, has worked with one of the main glass places here in town, and mentioned to them that we were looking for a sliding glass door, and we can't find any used ones anywhere. Facebook, Craigslist. So we've just been waiting anyway. They said that when they replace sliding glass doors that, you know, come check where they put the old ones, because they're going to just take them to the dump. Anyway, they called and said they had one, and they brought it over. It's beautiful. It's a vinyl door. It's got the little grills on them, you know, the little grids, so they look like paned windows, and it's got a screen. It's perfect. But someone replaced it, so we were lucky enough to get that. Anyway, the apricot tree, I don't know if you can see the little blooms up there. There's hardly any now. It's all done. So hopefully if our hand pollinating was successful, we'll have a few apricots. The honeyberries are in full bloom. But nobody's pollinating them. So I don't know if we'll have any honeyberries or not. We'll have to see. Usually the bumblebees pollinate these. They love the flowers that hang down like that. But, and here's one of my favorite spring flowers. Some people call those dogtooth violets or fawn lilies, but when I was a little girl picking flowers in Coral's pasture behind my house, we called these lamb's tongues. And ours weren't the lavender color, they were a creamy color, which I did order and planted last year, and I have one that's blooming. Oh, well, it's not open right now because it closed up for the night. But anyway, this is it right here, and has a friend over here that will be opening pretty soon too. See, and there's the little honesty plants, little teeny guys opening up. But anyway, we called those lamb's tongues, and they were one of my favorite wildflowers when I was little. So I'm thrilled to have them here in the yard. And in the greenhouse, come in here and close the door. In the greenhouse, we harvested the broccoli in here. It was delicious. It's getting some other little crowns, but they really look like they'd probably like to bolt. But this was last year's broccoli. I planted this last year. So I've been pretty impressed that we had anything. But the marsh marigolds are blooming away in here in the little pond feature, little water feature, and the cattails are coming up nicely. But there's lots of things coming up in here, looking pretty happy. One of the things I did when I lift my gladiolas, because in this climate you can't leave them in the ground, they kind of just diminish year after year until they're gone. It's just too hard on them. But when I lift them in the fall and bring them in, I pull all the little bulblets off of them, or little cormlets, I guess they would be called, little corms. And this is my little gladiola nursery, and I just plant them in here. I let them stay dry in the winter, and then I bring them out here and I water them, and so each year they get a little bit bigger, and eventually I'm hoping that these will be ones that can also go out in the yard in the pots and stuff, because I really do like gladiolas, but I try really hard to not plant much that has to be lifted and brought in, because there's so much work to do that just really adds to my workload to do that. And most of the little trees that start out here are cherry trees. They're the Stella cherry trees from back here, and they're pretty prolific. I've left quite a few of them. I figure as they grow, if this is not a good location for them, that I can cut them. And but we do have quite a few. Over here I have a little rowan tree. We lost my favorite rowan tree that was a volunteer. We lost it this fall because Mr. Buck used his horns on it, and I didn't realize he would do that because we haven't had deer stick around before this year. So this little rowan tree was another one that was volunteer. It's been in a pot for several years on the patio, but we brought him out here, so he lives here along with this trio of cherry trees that were volunteer. And here is another little rowan tree down here. This little guy, he was a volunteer right there, so he gets to stay there. I think he'll be really pretty right there. And this little, I think this is probably a plum, also a volunteer, but that was a good spot for it, so I left it. And anyway, a lot of stuff likes to volunteer here, and for the most part it gets to stay where it lands. That Oregon grape was a volunteer. The tree behind there, which I might be an apple tree, but probably is a cherry tree. I'm hoping it's an apple. Gets to stay. There is a wood rose that's back behind this honeysuckle that was also a volunteer. And that I prune back just because it gets so crazy, but I don't prune it back like short or anything. And I figure it's good security because those, anybody that's tangled with blackberries knows what the blackberry thorns are like. Well, wood rose thorns are like fish hooks. And I think that's a good thing to have for security for anybody trying to come over the fence. Because that's something we have to be concerned about. People are not respectful of property here. And you have to think about things like that. And so I have a lot of blackberries that grow along the back fence that I consider my security features. And more pulmonaria or lungwort and the primroses. These are the happiest primroses in the yard. They've been here for years and years and years. A lot of the other ones don't seem to take, but there are some in Sandra's yard that she's had for a really long time that have been real happy too. I don't know if I've got any. Oh, here they are. These little primroses down here that don't need the sweet woodruff growing in them. These here, I transplanted some from the Secret Garden over here, and these were from my friend Danelle. She had them growing out at her house out at Topsy, and that would be before all the dam removal stuff. And anyway, I brought some of those in, and they seem to be pretty happy. My old barrels are out here. They're pretty much falling apart, but I figured this would be a good spot for them to fall apart. The carnelian cherry is looking pretty good. We've never had fruit on that, but I am hoping that we will this year. It's always hard to tell. Well, hi Freya. Because we never know like how hard a frost we're gonna have, if anybody pollinated anything. There were flowers on here. I don't know if we're gonna have any fruit. Now there are some native bees. I don't know what they're called. I have a really hard time identifying the native bees because there are so many different kinds. But these seem to have a preference for the currant-like plants. So like they've been in the Josta berries big time, and they probably will be in some of the currants, but they don't seem to prefer fruit trees or anything like that. So if they happen to be in anything, it would be accidental pollinating. But like I said, I am hopeful there's accidental pollinating happening. We have a lot of birds. We have a lot of other little flying insects. And they seem to be pretty busy this year, so I'm really hoping that they will take over some of the job that the bees were doing for us until hopefully we do get bees. I just really don't know. I don't know what happened. And the way our yard sits, it kind of sits down. It's not like a big slope, but it's a little slope. And the plastic is over the pawpaw trees just because they seem to be a little slower, and I'm concerned about them. Anyway, it sort of slopes, not a whole lot, but it does. And with all the trees and stuff, people's smells from their yards get pulled in here, whether it's their dryer vents and their laundry softener, their fabric softener, or whether it's the stuff that they're using to light their barbecues with. But also, if they're using any chemicals in their yards, whether it's fertilizer or weed and feed or whatever it is, I smell that too. I have not smelled any chemical stuff like that. So I don't think the bees disappeared because of being sprayed or poisoned. I don't know what those little kids were doing. I don't know where they came from, where they went, why they haven't been back. I have to say, there's a real disconcerting feeling about seeing everything blooming. Sorry, my hands are getting cold and slipping. Watching everything bloom and not having any girls here to be pollinating them. That's kind of never happened before. So anyway, here's my hardy kiwi leafing out, trying to get the heck away from the honeysuckle, which was another volunteer. I never planted this kid here, but this is where it lives, and I have to do something to help my kiwi there. But anyway, this is really just a quick little thing because now my hand is hurting. It's so cold. Oh, the other thing, if I didn't mention before, this is a beaked filbert, this one here. And I didn't realize that they prefer to be shorter and shrubbier. I think they were used in hedgerows a lot. So he got quite a little cutback earlier. I'm hoping that he'll be happier because he's never put on any catkins or any flowers. And so I'm hoping that makes him happier to be a little shorter and shrubbier. But anyway, that's the quick tour for this morning. And I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you have bees. I love you.